All right, welcome to Unit 3, Section 2, Meeting Toddlers' Social Emotional Needs. At the end of this unit lesson, you should be able to plan activities and toys for stimulating self-awareness in toddlers, explain how parents and caregivers can help toddlers achieve autonomy, describe how parents and caregivers can foster self-assertion and teach obedience in the toddler years, as well as give examples of ways parents and caregivers can help toddlers co-regulate their emotions, demonstrate how to handle a toddler's temper tantrum, and identify ways parents can help prevent stress in the toddler years. Self-awareness grows mainly out of the toddler's daily contact with his or her world. Parents and caregivers can enhance the toddler's self-awareness and acknowledge the child as a unique person in the following ways. Pay attention when a toddler wants to talk. Ask yourself this question: how would you feel if you wanted to talk and were ignored? Acknowledging a toddler's feelings with descriptors such as "you look happy" or "you look sad." Sit together and talk about how the toddler has grown and how loved he or she is. Provide a place for the toddler's possessions, especially toys, and encourage him or her to take responsibility for them. Also, let them decide about sharing these possessions. Encourage the toddler to self-feed and help with his or her hygiene. Let the toddler help around the house. Comment on his or her skills and how they help you. Plan a few specific activities to enhance toddler self-awareness. Some examples of those include name the parts of the face. Place the toddler's hands on your face. Name aloud each part of your face as the child feels it. Ask them to name the parts. Mirrors. With the toddler on your lap, hold a mirror and reflect their face. Ask, "Who is that?" If they don't answer, say, "That is you." Then say the toddler's name. Dressing up. Toddlers enjoy dressing up in adults' old clothes, hats, accessories, shoes. To help them play, show the child one object. For example, show them a hat and say, "Look at this pretty hat. I'm going to wear it." Place the hat on your head and talk about how pretty it is. Then say, "Do you want to wear a hat?" And then place a hat on their head saying how nice it looks. If they enjoy this, try other items. Pretend. Have a pretend tea party with the toddler. Talk about pretend foods in much the same way you would talk about real food. If the toddler is confused, say, "How funny, we can pretend to have a party." A book about me. Take pictures of the toddler's daily activities. Place the pictures in a photo album. Be sure to include photos of parents, siblings, and other loved ones. Photo gallery. Keep a family photo album where place photos of the toddler in various spots around the house, at their eye level. Toddlers like photos that capture their experiences. Measuring chart. Measure their height on a growth chart and keep a running tally of their growth changes. Self-awareness is well underway by the end of the toddler years, but continues to grow throughout life. A happy, secure toddler will develop positive self-feelings about his or herself. Autonomy is a very important part of the developing toddler's life. Parents and caregivers can help them on this journey towards achieving autonomy by ensuring their safety and encouraging their efforts. Parents and caregivers can help toddlers achieve autonomy by keeping them from harm. They make sure that toddlers' indoor and outdoor environments are safe. This will decrease the number of times caregivers have to warn a toddler. They can give a toddler safe choices so he or she can build feelings of independence and use his or her skills. Parents and caregivers should redirect toddlers before they engage in a forbidden or unsafe action. This is more helpful than waiting to intervene after they're already performing the action. It's also more helpful than simply reacting to the consequences. When ensuring safety, you need to recognize that toddlers will sometimes misjudge their skills and need help. Toddlers do not understand possible results of some of their actions. Sometimes they find limits to their actions through failed attempts. This is frustrating for them. If the goal is unsafe, parents and caregivers need to set limits while understanding the child's perspective. For encouraging their efforts, in addition to ensuring safety, parents and caregivers can encourage toddlers' efforts at achieving autonomy. Caregivers can avoid excessive criticism or correction of toddlers by letting them make mistakes without scolding and not making demands that are too rigid for them to follow. Parents and caregivers can encourage a toddler to make choices by offering suggestions on how to complete a task instead of doing the task for the child. Parents and caregivers can acknowledge their efforts to become more autonomous and avoid mixing encouragement with criticism. They can celebrate and help their toddlers remember personal achievements by taking photos or videos. Because of toddlers' newfound skills, they will become willful and curious. Toddlers find it most difficult to delay gratification, which means wait until later to get what they want, and exhibit and have intense emotions that they have a hard time stopping themselves from showing. Problems occur when the personalities and needs of parents and other adults conflict with the needs of toddlers. Toddlers need both attachments for protection and comfort, as well as for their growing autonomy. They will go back and forth between wanting to be totally independent and wanting to be totally dependent. For parents and other caregivers, getting the balance between allowing autonomy and dependency in toddlers is very critical. These changes in toddlers will confuse adults. Most adults find that they have to give toddlers freedom at times and be firm at other times. Their actions will depend on their toddler's needs. Toddlers need some freedom, and adults need to guide toddlers' self-assertion, or doing as one chooses rather than what others want. Giving toddlers choices allows them to express their preferences. For example, parents can let a toddler choose between 2 sets of clothing to wear that day. A toddler may also choose between self-control and adult control. The adult may say, "You may color on the paper, or I'll have to put the crayons away." Toddlers seem more willing to accept a firm no when given choices at other times. Through choices, they develop autonomy and avoid feelings of shame for their mistakes and doubts about their abilities. Toddlers do not have self-restraint or the ability to control themselves. They also do not know all the rules of acceptable behavior. Adults not only foster self-assertion, but they also teach obedience, which is acting within the limits set by others, to help toddlers understand what is socially acceptable behavior. The best way to teach obedience is to meet toddlers' needs and not punish what they do wrong. There are positive ways to help toddlers learn obedience. First of all, set limits. Parents can help toddlers learn socially acceptable behaviors by setting limits. Limits keep toddlers safe and show them how to become more socially acceptable. Setting limits is part of Galinsky's authority stage of parenting. Adults need to decide which limits are necessary, i.e., they need to choose their battles, and whether the limits are appropriate for their toddler. Are they expecting their toddler to wait too long? Are they always saying no? When setting limits, parents and other adults need to remember toddlers are pre-moral, which means they are not yet guided by internal values. Toddlers are guided by outside rules, and they need help learning these rules. Ways in which adults can help them learn the rules include modeling what is being taught, such as helpfulness, kindness in words, and sharing, making simple rules as needs arise. Simple rules may include be kind to others, always ask for help, say please and thank you, and do not hit or bite or scratch others. Getting on eye level with the toddler and matching tone of voice to concern. For example, you express your tone of voice should have more concern in it about biting than forgetting to say please. Do not yell when talking to a toddler. Encouraging the toddler to use social referencing, which is evaluating how to respond to a situation by getting a social cue from a more experienced person. When a toddler looks at an adult, he or she is asking, "May I do this?" Adults should send the cue. Toddlers can even pick up on subtle cues. Social referencing aids the child in learning what is and is not acceptable without direct experience. Telling the toddler when his or her behaviors are acceptable is another way that you can do it too. Providing guidance. By 18 months of age, many toddlers show definite signs of contrariness, which is a tendency to oppose almost everything others do or say. They tend to oppose adults and even other toddlers. They replace yes with no, even when yes is what they really mean. Me want is replaced with no want. Adults may find it difficult to help toddlers achieve autonomy while keeping them safe and preventing conflicts. Erickson felt adults should firmly reassure the toddler. Adults do not need to give in to the child's will all the time. When they confront a child, however, parents should stay calm and assure the child they still love him or her. This protects children from harm without making them feel ashamed or guilty. Oftentimes, adults can prevent the battle of wills. The following ideas may reduce conflicts. Let the toddler choose. Providing the toddler with choices promotes autonomy as well as helps avoid conflicts. The simplest way to avoid conflict is let the toddler make some choices. As long as the results are not harmful, allowing them some freedom makes obeying easier. Tell the toddler in advance. Telling them about upcoming events in advance helps reduce their contrariness. This lead time allows the toddler to prepare emotionally for the change of activities. If they resist the change, use calming actions such as picking up the toddler. Word commands in positive ways. Wording a command is a playful way can help prevent struggles with the toddler. For example, to let them know about an upcoming car ride, you might say, "Pilot to co-pilot, time to go." Use pretend games. Playing a pretend game of obedience is another way to reduce contrariness. For example, to get the toddler to wash his or her hands before meals, you might say, "I'm going to wash my hands before you do." Of course, after much scrubbing, your toddler must always win. Sometimes pretend games of obedience become rituals, such as a chase to the bedroom at nap time. Toddlers will make frequent mistakes. Even then, adults need to remain positive. When toddlers are always made to feel they are bad, they may grow to dislike themselves. Adults should label incorrect behavior as a mistake and not the child as bad, selfish, naughty, or mean. Harsh punishment may cause them to feel they are bad too. You must also be consistent. Consistency helps people feel secure. When there's a conflict between toddler goals and adult expectations, children will test their limits. They are checking adult reactions because they want to know whether these are real limits. Consistency in rules and follow-up is the teacher. From time to time, people will need flexible rules. Toddler may need flexible rules when they are ill or when other problems occur. Once the situation is back to normal, rules can become consistent again. Of course, as children grow, discipline changes and children are often allowed more freedom. Lastly, showing love and respect. Toddlers are worthy of the same respect other people receive. Adults should not respond to toddlers' mistakes with hurtful teasing or anger. Respecting toddlers helps them like themselves. It also serves as a model for a growing child's relationship with others. More than anything else, toddlers need to feel loved by caring adults. They seem to sense love that is shown to them physically and directly. Toddlers do not seem to sense love shown in indirect ways, like having cooked meals or clean clothes, although these are important. Toddlers have good days and problem days just like adults. When limits are set and discipline is firm, yet kind, the toddler will begin to have good days more often. Good days are a sign that toddlers are getting better at balancing their self-assertion and their need to obey. Balancing the two is a skill that they will need throughout life. So like we just talked about, toddlers are pre-moral, which means they're not guided by their internal values yet. Instead, they are guided by outside rules, and they need your help to learn these outside rules. For guiding toddlers' emotions, they show a variety of emotions, ranging from very positive to negative. They have a broader range of negative emotions because of their increased intellectual abilities, their lack of inhibition, and their immature language skills needed to express their needs and resolve conflicts. They need parents and other caregivers to help them co-regulate their emotions. The goal of co-regulation of emotional expression is to help a child develop a rather high level of self-regulating abilities by 4 or 5 years of age, which is when the authority stage of parenting ends. A child's temperament is involved in co-regulation to some degree, but parent or caregiver behaviors play the central role in the development of children's self-regulation. These behaviors must be guided by a child's developmental level. In infancy and early toddlerhood, co-regulation involves soothing. Between 18 and 30 months, toddlers' emerging intellectual and language abilities increase dramatically and contribute to what works best in co-regulation. Once a toddler develops language skills, adult explanation is considered the best method of co-regulation. An adult explanation might include the cause of the problem. Blank wanted to play with your toy. The child's emotional feeling. You are angry that it is all right that is all right because you were playing with whatever the toy was. A response strategy. Hitting hurts, so just tell blank that we have another blank. Let's get it, then you can both play with the toy. Reasoning should be at a child's zone of proximal development to help them learn more sophisticated strategies for coping. Toddlers must grow in their understandings and responses to develop a big amount of strategies that is needed for self-regulation. Another co-regulation method that works with older toddlers who need to delay gratification is distraction, which reinforces their attention. For example, car toys and books or a family game are often a good distraction for a whining, tired toddler on a long drive. All right, love and empathy. Toddlers who have formed secure attachments know they are loved and protected. In turn, they love their parents and other caregivers. They show their love by cuddling and snuggling, sharing joy in new experiences and skills, and showing delights when parents return after a separation. Toddlers also show love to their friends and their loveys, or their attachment items. Loveys help toddlers make it through separations. In a way, these attachment items represent family and security and are similar to beloved stuffed animals of older children or photographs displayed at the workplace of adults. Toddlers also begin to learn about empathy. The capacity for empathy, which is the ability to recognize and identify with the emotions of others, is something that is inborn. Developing these skills, however, requires learning. Before empathy can develop, they must learn to see the goals and emotions of others, called taking another person's perspective, which requires understanding of self versus other awareness. Then they need to see examples of empathy in their environment. Toddlers with secure attachments recognize that their parents and other caregivers have understood and accepted their needs. These adults have modeled empathy. Toddlers develop empathy by using social referencing as adults models repeated, sincere actions of empathy. Although they can mimic empathy, 2-year-olds can initiate empathy. Infants mimic it. Some tips for developing empathy include verbally reflecting on how children are feeling rather than saying everything will be all right, having children practice reading feelings in expressive photographs and drawings, asking older toddlers how specific characters and stories feel in certain situations, reading stories about feelings, encouraging empathy in pretend play, such as asking, does whatever the doll's name need a nap? And teaching words about feelings like happy, mad, angry, and sad. Anger and temper tantrums. As you know, toddlers express anger through aggressive acts and temper tantrums. Anger is a very strong emotion that confuses toddlers. The lack of mature language skills is a major challenge in resolving conflicts. Since they cannot articulate their angry feelings, they express their anger through aggression. Many 2-year-olds have temper tantrums, but some do not. Toddlers who are lively, under stress, even the stress of being hungry, and cannot yet talk, are prone to tantrums. Parents and other caregivers can learn to handle tantrums by understanding the cause of their child's tantrums. You can avoid tantrums in some cases by seeing the situation from their perspective. The following actions can help prevent temper tantrums. Meet the toddler's needs before involving the toddler in adult activities. For example, they may need a nutritious snack or a nap before they accompany the adult on errands. Avoid making demands when your toddler is tired, hungry, or ill. Remove toys or play equipment that frustrates the toddler. Have enough toys to prevent boredom or duplicate toys so they can share with a friend. Give in on small demands like staying up a few minutes later when their cousins are visiting, or spending a few more minutes in the park because it was hard to get a turn on the slide. Offer help before the toddler becomes too frustrated. Find fun ways to gain toddler compliance. And acknowledge signs of control. If a tantrum occurs because the toddler is making demands of his or her own, tantrums may need to be handled in a different way. Caregivers can tell the toddler beforehand what she or he cannot do. They can plan something for them to do in a setting, such as carry a box to the checkout lane in a store. Most importantly, parents and caregivers cannot give in even if the tantrum becomes full-blown. Giving in teaches the child that tantrums work. Once a temper tantrum is underway, allow the tantrum to continue. It is a form of release for the child. Stay nearby, but don't try to reason with them. If a tantrum occurs in public, go to a quiet place if possible for the toddler to become calm. Do not act embarrassed if others watch. Avoid using spankings to punish tantrums. If the adult expresses displeasure or anger in a physical way, they're modeling that behavior for the toddler. Tantrums, when handled calmly, often decrease during preschool years. Also, adult calmness serves as a model for children as the best way to deal with anger. Once the child is calm, adults should acknowledge the feelings of their toddlers and show comfort. You may say, "I know you really wanted to stay outside. I'm sorry you are so upset about coming in the house." And after the tantrum, hugs are usually helpful. When adults hold back this comfort, toddlers may feel that they are unlovable. Fears and anxieties. For toddlers to overcome their fears and anxieties, they need to see and talk about their fears in safe ways. Telling toddlers other children have the same fear can help comfort them. Gradual exposure to a feared subject may also help. For example, if they're afraid of dogs, you may start talking about dogs. Later, you may read a story about playful dogs or give a cute dog toy to your child. After some time, they may stand near a friendly puppy or small dog that is safely behind a fence. This method is better for toddlers than suddenly exposing them to the fearful situation. Giving them security also reduces fear. Nightlights, toys, especially their loveys, in bed, and familiar caregivers will add security. In many cases, adults can avoid situations that cause fear and anxiety. Some situations, however, such as going to the doctor, cannot be avoided. These situations can be explained to the toddler in a simple, honest way. As they are explained, adults should address only fears the toddler has already shown. Adults can acknowledge toddlers for their small steps towards overcoming their fears. For example, they can receive encouragement for only crying a little or for not running from the puppy behind the fence. Most of their fears and anxieties will disappear with age. If you handle their fears and anxieties in understanding ways, they will be better able to cope with present and future fears and anxieties. Based on the Harvard growth studies, research is leading towards the belief that some children are genetically vulnerable to stress. These children may be more fearful or anxious throughout life than others. More sensitive and responsive caregiving is needed for these vulnerable children. One of the best ways to deal with stress is through prevention. Parents can help prevent stress in the toddler years by meeting your toddler's needs correctly, promptly, and consistently, which will help encourage secure attachments, helping them feel nurtured and loved even when their actions might be considered unlovable, aiding them in control of his or her emotions through co-regulation, helping older toddlers communicate their needs and feelings by talking. Parents might ask themselves questions like, am I making different childcare arrangements too frequently? Is our family life peaceful? Am I allowing my toddler to watch adult-oriented media content like scary movies? Am I helping him by being his or her security base, the important person in their life? Sometimes stress cannot be prevented. Parents and caregivers, however, can respond to the stress and identify the stressors. Major stressors that can affect toddlers include parent-toddler conflicts, insecure attachments, concerns and traumatic events in the family, and maternal depression in the toddler's second and third years. Maternal depression puts the mental health of the toddler at risk because the toddler's brain systems that generate depression are developing at this time. In the toddler period, the personality and emotional reaction area of the brain is being established. Calm, responsive parenting behaviors are needed to handle the needs of toddlers. Depressed mothers are often not responsive, or normal toddler behaviors evoke an irritable, even hostile response. In turn, cortisol spikes in the toddler's developing brain, including the areas that generate depression. Thus, maternal depression begins a chain of events that puts the mental health of the toddler at risk. For many mothers, depression is an unavoidable illness, but successful treatments are available. Caregivers can recognize stress in toddlers by paying attention to signs such as frequent nightmares, unusually intense fears, and aggressive behaviors. Coping with a toddler's stress involves being patient and supportive. Listening for clues about the source of the stress is important. All toddlers need consistency in their lives. If the symptoms of stress continue or worsen, you should seek professional help. Alright guys, thanks for listening. That's the end of this unit.